Okay, a lot of different things to get to, including the first SEC game of not just Hank Brown's career, but Cam Coleman's career, potentially.
Ooh.
What does that mean? We're going to talk some Arkansas on this show, but first, Zach. He's Zach Blackerby. I'm Brad Law. Village Vice brought to you by mybookie.ag. Use promo code NEXTROUND at mybookie.ag. They'll double your initial deposit. Have fun with that. You can have a ton of fun with it. Check out all of the bets on everything they have to offer at mybookie.ag. Kick off your football season. Use the promo code NEXTROUND for a deposit bonus, mybookie.ag. All right, before we get into the other stuff, Zach, could I take this right off into a ditch first? Can we talk about how well Brandon Cox played in the 2005 Georgia Tech game? I mean, he played great. He was basically Joe Montana. You thought Tom Brady was excellent, all right, in some of those Super Bowl wins for the Patriots. Nothing compared to Brandon Cox against Georgia Tech in 2005. Fight me about it. Fight me about it.
So if folks don't know what Brad's doing right now, he just went off the deep end yesterday, and we're talking about Hank Brown and how excited we are. And then he takes the steering wheel and just drives it off the road into a ditch, like you just said, and said, well, Peyton Thorne wasn't that bad against New Mexico State.
In fact, he was good.
You said he was exceptional, actually.
Yeah.
I believe was the word you used.
Yeah.
Which is wild. And I'm shocked at the amount of people that agreed with you. And then there were also the other people that said this is the coldest take in like Auburn talk radio history. So, which is kind of what we expected.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, but you know what? Doggone it. If I think something, I'm just going to go ahead and go with it. That's real. And the Brandon Cox thing was a joke. It was his worst game that he played at Auburn, and he will tell you that and has told, but
yeah,
that's also a game, by the way, that we had 4 outstanding running backs and we didn't run like in it. Kenny Irons got 1 carry in that game. It was just so weird. Talking about disappointing off the heels of an undefeated season. Like, wow. And it was Calvin Johnson and Megatron and his like coming out party at Georgia Tech. Speaking of dynamic receivers, Cam Coleman.
Sure, there it is.
How much of a difference does it make for him if he's back, if he plays Saturday against Arkansas? What does that do for the Auburn offense? What does that do for Hank?
Yeah, I mean, you got to think possibly putting the most gifted and talented player on the roster on the field is going to help your quarterback. You got to think it's going to have a positive impact, and especially if you're Arkansas, you've got to treat him different than you treat a Camden Brown or a Perry Thompson or anybody. You've got to treat Cam Coleman different than all of these guys, even a KLS to some extent. So to me, you got to think it's going to help. But I love that you said that, because there's all this talk about how Hank Brown is going to do in his first SEC game. How's Cam Coleman going to do in his potentially his first SEC game, assuming he returns this weekend? That's a big deal.
There's a lot of motivation for all those receivers. I mean, name a receiver who's not a little extra motivated by this game, a guy that we think will catch passes. For the other freshmen, it's their first SEC game too. For KLS, it's the first chance to show that, I did this in the Big Ten. Now I can do it in the SEC.
Yeah.
For Robert Lewis, the same deal. Like I did it at Georgia State, but this is why. This is why I came to Auburn, to play in the SEC, to play in a game like this. So I think all of those guys are a little extra motivated going into this game.
Yeah, as they should be. They should be. And I think they feel a little bit of hope again. I mean, I think the quarterback change ignited more than just the fan base. You saw KLS jawing at some fans by kind of saying, hey, our quarterback plays just fine, and kind of showed Hank Brown's stat line. Like, I think there's a renewed sense of energy on the offensive side of the football because of what Hank did on Saturday.
Yeah, I think so. Now, again, as we've said from the start, doing it against New Mexico is one thing. Doing it against Arkansas is something different. But
yeah, sure.
I love the matchup. Arkansas's corners are 6 feet, 192, a transfer from South Alabama, Marquise Robinson. The other starting corner is Jalen Braxton, 6 feet, 190. And he's a sophomore, got his first career interception a week ago. If they come up and they press these receivers, I really like Auburn's ability to get separation, get open, and Hank to go through his progressions and find one of these guys.
Yeah, and how is Arkansas going to play? I know you mentioned press just then, but I kind of see them loading up the box and having your corners play a little bit of soft coverage and saying, hey, if you're going to beat us, you're going to have to throw it over 15 yards consistently. That's That's how I think Arkansas is going to try to stop Auburn. That's what I would do, is say, okay, all the pressure is on this freshman quarterback or redshirt freshman quarterback.
Yeah.
Let's see if he can do it, because we're not New Mexico. We're an SEC team. I think that's how Arkansas is going to attack Hank.
I think you have to. I still think you have to try to sell out and attack the run first. Huh?
Is something falling? Are you holding something up?
No, I have a book here. I'm going to make a point and I'm going to get to it, but I want to have the actual data to back it up here.
Wow.
Against New Mexico, Auburn had scoring drives of 9 plays, 7 plays, 5 plays, 10 plays, 2, then 4, then 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 drives that were 6 plays or more.
Mm-hmm.
Drives of 6 plays or more likely include third down conversions a lot of the time, unless you're just churning through the yardage.
Sure.
I loved how patient Auburn was offensively and how they were willing to take 7 yards, take a check down for 12 or for 6 or whatever, just to keep the chains moving. I think if that's the game plan, if Arkansas isn't able to consistently put Auburn in second and long, third and long situations, it's a great day for Auburn, because I think they showed the path. I think Hank is within himself enough to play that kind of style offensively.
Yeah, I think so too. And I mean, as far as taking what the defense gives them and reading the plays that they're supposed to run, like Hugh Freeze said, he was 100% on, deciding when to check to the run and all of that, which is a good sign. It's a good sign, because making those decisions, that isn't impacted by the level of competition you're playing. That is being able to read a defense and see what they're able to do. And I don't think you might see it against Oklahoma or Georgia. I don't think you're going to see a level of sophistication that's like leaps and bounds better than New Mexico. It will be better, but I don't think it's like this massive jump as if Auburn was playing Oklahoma or Georgia this weekend.
Well,
still SEC athletes for sure.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
As far as the scheme and what Hank has to do, like as far as a read standpoint in the RPO game, I don't think it's going to be that much different as far as like what he has to react to.
Yeah. Landon Jackson, the defensive end, 6'7", 280, senior, transfer from LSU, second team preseason All-American, 40, as Hugh Freeze referred to him as during his press conference and on Tiger Talk. Do you run right at it? What's your philosophy on you got a stud defensive end like that, Zach? Do you run right at him or do you scheme away from him?
I mean, I think you're aware of him, but I think you still try to run your offense. And that's part of what makes the RPO so good is like maybe you read him. Maybe you kind of take him out of the play by not blocking him in certain situations, or maybe you throw the ball within 2 seconds every time you get the snap, and then the pass rush doesn't matter. So, I mean, there are ways to counteract good defensive ends, and I think the way Hank played last week will do that. You got to help your offensive line out.
Yeah. Cam Coleman has 2 catches in each of his first 2 games. To come back to the original topic here.
Sure.
2 catches in each of the first 2 games.
To be fair, the original topic was Brandon Cox against Georgia Tech in 2005.
It's just a real circular argument to get around to talking about Megatron and then Cam Coleman. That's all.
Gosh.
Always.
You're playing chess. The rest of us are playing checkers, Brad.
Always a plan. Does he get more than 2 catches in this game if he plays?
Assuming he plays and he's healthy and good to go. Yes, I think so.
Okay. Do you think Arkansas does something different defensively against him, specifically setting up one-on-one matchups with other guys on the field, or do you think he gets a lot of one-on-one opportunities?
Maybe in certain parts of the field, like maybe they do a little bit more in the red zone, but I think between the 20s, I don't know how they could, unless I just don't think. You mentioned Arkansas's corners, and I haven't sat down and studied them specifically, but I have watched a good bit of Arkansas's defense this week, and it's like I don't think they have dudes that can consistently win one-on-one with KLS. I don't think they have dudes that can consistently win one-on-one against Rivaldo Fairweather, assuming he plays like he's capable of. He's been kind of spotty so far this year. Last week he was fine, so hopefully he's kind of turned his head around and is able to move forward. But I don't think they could do that without severely giving something up. And is that taking a linebacker off the field. And then in that situation, they're probably going to use Jarquez Hunter, Damari Austin, Jeremiah Cobb. So to me, I don't know how much they can devote to one guy as far as like attention. I mean, I think they'll do some things with scheme, but I don't know. I don't know how much they realistically can do, Brad.
That's a great point. Rivaldo is the guy that you like sneaky need to watch in this game because he has been quiet through the first 3, and his only multi-touchdown game of the year a year ago was against Arkansas.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. Well, Rivaldo did have a touchdown.
Yeah,
last week, and it was his best. It was like I guess it looked like a curl or a stick. He made somebody miss, and he accelerated and found the end zone. And it's like, sweet, great. That's what we needed. That's what we were counting on. I know the seams and stuff are exciting, but that's the stuff that like over the course of a game you can count on, or the course of a season you can count on. So hopefully he kind of got it out of his head. We know whatever was causing the drops or lack of focus or whatever that is. Hopefully he's good. Yeah.
Very integral part of this offense, even if he's not the number 1 pass catcher.
Yeah.
He had to be last year. So he turned that up the second half of the season last year. And he doesn't have to be that, but he can still be a huge weapon.
Yeah. And he needs to be. Yeah. He needs to be in order for everything to kind of come together the way Auburn's offense should.
Yep.
They need more Rivaldo Fairweather. And so we'll see. Because I'm sure this coaching staff was hard on him. I mean, you talk about like the Cal game where it wasn't a perfect throw, but like he should have caught that on that 3rd down play. Like he should have caught that football. And then, he dropped some against Alabama A&M, and he may have dropped another one against Cal. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he hasn't been sharp. So hopefully New Mexico was the turning point.
Luckily for him, those are all Peyton's fault, all those drops. So that's, it kind of all, he doesn't get blamed for those.
I don't think that's true.
Okay.
I don't think that's true.
All right. You know what is true? That when you shop at Barner's Supply Company, you will support some outstanding Auburn people, and you'll look so sharp when you do it. Their hats are phenomenal, and a lot of you are taking advantage of these wonderful deals. And these products look. The one in the background is great. They have a powder blue, the hue blue design as well. Yeah. BarnersSupply.com. Promo code Village Vice. You buy a hat and a koozie. Okay. And you put in our promo code Village Vice with no spaces. This koozie is free when you do that with the purchase of a hat.
Imagine paying for that koozie.
I mean, I wouldn't want to. Why would I? Now, look, would it be worth paying for it? Yes, it's a high quality
100%. But you don't have to.
QC, but you don't have to. BarnersSupply.com. Barners making gear for Barners. Check them out today.
Love it. Some controversial news in the NIL space.
Yeah.
Coming out the morning as we record this.
Yeah. But I think this will be less and less controversial because I think this is the norm. Tennessee announced today that they are going to combat the revenue sharing truth that is coming to college athletics by increasing their ticket prices 15%. Wow. And I think they were smart to lay it out. So they said 4.5% to 5% is just operating costs, man. Inflation is hitting everybody. And it doesn't matter it doesn't matter who holds a particular office. Inflation is hitting everybody. So
sure,
costs more to travel, costs more to build fancy buildings and all of that. So a 5% increase in tickets because of that. And it
also just costs more to run an athletic program each and every year. That's just
period.
If you want to be competitive, you got to do it. Right.
The other 10% is a talent fee.
Wild.
Talent fee. Well, but my reaction to that, Zach, is, well, what else are you going to do? You've got to pay it. The rev share is going to cost these big time schools like Tennessee and Auburn and other SEC. You're going to cost $22 million a year.
I tell you what. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Plus additional scholarship. You think going from 85 scholarships to 105 in football and 11.7 in baseball to 35 or whatever in baseball, that ain't cheap.
Yeah.
So how you gonna do it? Tennessee said basically that this 15% increase in their football tickets, every ticket, everywhere, is every part of the stadium, highest to the most luxurious, 15%, will pay for about $7 million of that 22. So they pass on about a third of the cost, and then they figure out other ways to do it. You have to do things like this, or else you're not going to survive in the new college athletics space.
You know what every other athletic program is now saying in reaction to Tennessee doing this? Thank you for doing it first.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing it first and setting the expectation that this is where things are going.
Yeah.
And I think you're about to see other people roll it out, and they're not going to be as much of the bad guy as Tennessee is. I get it. I totally get it. And honestly, like, I'm a little pleased with Tennessee that they didn't just increase it 15%. They actually explained what they were doing.
Well, I think it makes it more palatable to do that, because if you just go
Probably.
15% up, you go, good Lord. But when you go, oh, yeah, okay, no, here's the explanation. Get it out in front, get out in front of the story. That's smart.
Right. Yeah. So I think the way they handled it was great. I think Auburn should do it.
Yeah.
I think every SEC team's probably going to do something similar to this. Is 15% your magic number?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a little arbitrary. You need to set it to be whatever it needs to be. But if you want to be competitive, that's what you're going to have to do. That's what you're going to have to do. And will there eventually be a bubble that pops? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. But I think we're a long ways away from that happening.
Yeah. Very interesting. Some places, not in the SEC, you're going to see some sports go away because you just can't fund everything in the athletic department with the increase coming from football. But, I'll give Tennessee credit for another thing. I've seen designs. I don't remember if we talked about this on a show during the summer or not, but designs for this like all-inclusive entertainment area around the stadium.
Yeah.
There on the riverfront. You saw it when Jerry World opened. It's not just the stadium, it's everything around it. The Braves and the Battery. It's, the Braves own that. It's not just the ballpark. So it's not just.
And it prints money.
Yeah. It's not just 81 baseball games a year, but it's the restaurants, the parking, the retail, 365 days a year. And that's the kind of thing that I think you got to find a way to replicate to find more revenue. It's not just about the revenue, but you have to have it.
You have to have it. Yeah. And like we've seen the way Auburn has handled deals with, the companies that handle the white tents and the tailgating and all of that and broadcast rights and things. I mean, there's a bunch of different forms of revenue, but I do think that is going to evolve over time. Does Auburn set out a spot where there's more like vending or something outside of the stadium and, proceeds go to that or vendors come in and pay rent that goes to the athletic department's budget? I don't know. But I do expect things to trend that direction, and it's somehow get even more commercialized than it already is.
Yeah. A very small example of that is like they've started these VIP experiences, which are great. One of them is a stadium tour on a Friday night before a game. I'm not on here to shill for that. I'm kind of explaining because there's been some pushback to it because that used to be free and you could go in and like walk through the locker room and whatnot and on the field, and then you're out and it's free. And a lot of people got used to doing that. Well,
interesting. That's
not free anymore. There's a cost associated with it.
Is that something that people want to do more than once?
I don't. That'd be a great question to find the answer to.
Not judging the answer, just genuinely curious. I did it once, so I was like, cool, great.
I think if it's free, why not? Like if it's free and you got some new people in who haven't done it before and you've done it before and you just it's a part of a Friday night thing. But to their credit, what they did is they said, can we take something that's free and charge for it, but turn it into something different? So now you go up in the press box and now you go up, you go on the field and see different things. And like, it's a different experience. It's an elevated experience from the free thing, but it is something you pay for now. But again, with all the new expenses, you want to pay 40% more for your ticket? Or do you want to pay 15% more for your ticket? And then if you choose, these other experiences are out there.
Yeah. Yep.
So
it's a tricky world. It's a tricky world we live in.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. So let's jump into a little bit more chatter about Auburn and Arkansas. We just wanted to hit on that NIL story because it's a big deal. Like It's just the trickle-down effect that's slowly expanding more and more, becoming ever present in the sport we all know and love. Hey, we all know and love Roback, roback.com, RHOBACK.com. They've got everything you could possibly want. We love their hoodies. We are pro Roback hoodies. Also, their collared shirts. I now have 4 collared shirts. They're all, I just rotate them every Sunday for church, baby. Let's go.
Nice.
Let's go. But yeah,
they're
love
the perfect church shirt. They're the
I think
perfect
so.
church polo. Yeah.
Especially right now because it's so warm outside and you can, whatever. I love the quarter zip as well. I've got 2 of those. Like fully believe in Roback. So head over to roback.com. Once again, RHOBACK.com. Use promo code VICE20 for 20% off your order. They rolled out another Auburn shirt. That's just the interlocking AU logo over and over and over again. It's beautiful. It's great. Makes you feel something special inside. Once again, if you want to feel something special inside, just go to roback.com. Use promo code VICE20. So Auburn is a favorite in this game. And after the Cal game, I legit didn't know if that was going to be the case or not. And also because I think Arkansas has kind of trended down since then because of their game against UAB. And Auburn's trended up because I guess there's just renewed energy and what Hank Brown did. Yeah. And making that quarterback change. But I do love the momentum that Auburn has now, which I'm shocked that I'm saying because the Cal loss seemed to really just wreck the fan base for 5 minutes until Hank Brown was named starter and kind of re-energized the fan base. But Auburn's a 3.5-point favorite, according to our friends at MyBookie. Does that feel right to you, Brad?
Probably. That basically means that Auburn's a half-point favorite on a neutral field, right? Because you're going to get 3 points for home field.
Yeah,
that's widely accepted. So that's probably right. Falling behind 17-3 to UAB is not completely shocking when you consider how close Arkansas was to beating Oklahoma State 2 weeks ago, and how devastated they must have been. And after UAB, it's Auburn in the start of conference play. There's no way their focus was on UAB as dedicated as it needed to be. So they were a little sloppy coming out. They threw a pick in their own, pretty deep in their own territory that led to UAB's first score. I think there are a lot of similarities. Like Hugh Freeze said, Auburn looked sluggish defensively. I think Arkansas offense looked a little sluggish at the beginning of their game. So
that overtime loss to Oklahoma State for Arkansas, it kind of felt, and almost I don't want to be dramatic, but it kind of felt like that was it for the fan base. Like with Sam Pittman, it's just okay, we just got to wait this out until his tenure is done. It felt like more than just a loss. Now, however, to be transparent, I thought the loss to Cal was more than just a normal loss, and then they changed things up. So I think that can change in an instant. If they go on the road and beat Auburn, their season is saved, right? This is a big game for both teams because whoever loses this game, they're probably going to underachieve this season. This is a big game for both teams involved.
It's interesting, Zach. I thought the opposite of their loss to Oklahoma State. I thought it was reinvigorating and it energized them and showed them that there was promise for this year.
On the outside looking in, I get that. But if you go consume Arkansas media, I listen to Locked On Razorbacks, I think John Neighbors does a great job of being the voice of that fan base. They seem crushed.
Yeah.
They seem devastated by that loss. They wanted answers from Sam Pittman. And it's how did you let this happen? That's just what I saw as far as consuming the Arkansas content last week.
That's fair, and I haven't done that, and you have. So did they think they were going to go in and win that game? Did they think they were going to go beat Oklahoma State?
They were favored, weren't they?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
I think they were, Brad. I think they were.
I don't think that's right. I'll have to go back and check. But
I'm going to look while you're making your point.
Now, look, if you get up 14-0 on the road and it just slowly slips away, then there's obviously you got to answer for that, especially when they do it in a way where they have 416 yards passing and they're leading and they rush for 232. That's what they did. They had almost 700, or they had almost 650 yards of total offense. and still they lost.
So
the
Oklahoma,
game.
Oklahoma State was a 10.5-point favorite according to this. So I was way off on that. But like when you look at like the win probability chart or whatever, like they had a 91% chance of winning.
Yeah.
With it's halfway through the third quarter.
Gosh.
Yeah, and then it just goes.
They had 33 first downs in that game, 648 yards of offense, 3 turnovers. That hurts. No, I thought that reinvigorated them. I thought that now look, they're scheduled the rest of the year like everybody in the SEC. These next 2 weeks for them are about as vital as they are for Auburn.
Sure.
Because facing Auburn and Texas A&M back-to-back weeks. After that, it's Tennessee, LSU, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Texas, Louisiana Tech, Missouri, and Columbia. Like that's
tough.
Boy, it's hard to get to 6 if you don't get these next 2.
Yeah. Yeah. But I watched that Arkansas-Oklahoma State game, I think the same point of view that you did, where I was like, oh, okay. Like they're on the road.
Yeah.
Forcing overtime against a ranked team, a top 20 team, like moral victories or whatever. But like, there's a lot of good you can take from that. And what I saw, they didn't react that way.
Yeah.
And then they haven't reacted positively in response to UAB. I don't think their fan base believes in this team.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I think Auburn is treating Arkansas like they're the Kansas City Chiefs right now, like talking up Petrino and everything that they do with their quarterback and the running game. Like, I just think the two mindsets that we've seen, from what we can tell, we only know so much, but
yeah,
I like Auburn's momentum going into this more than Arkansas's, but I mean, that can change in a heartbeat.
I mean, some of that's legit too. Like Jaquindon Jackson has gone for 149.
You're really high on him. You've been high on him since the start of the season.
He's 6'2", 235. He
moves so well.
He moves great. He's got great lateral quickness. He can cut on a dime. He's hard to tackle. And he's gone for almost 300 yards over the last 2 ball games. You don't think they're going to come here and try to split the middle with him in that running game?
I think that's really the only way they can consistently move the chains is on the ground. I don't trust. I like Taylor Green, but I don't love him as a passer. And to me, like if you can take away the running game and make them beat you, through the air, I really like Auburn's chances. Then how do you do that? If Auburn scores on their first 2 drives and gets up 2 scores, I really, really like the Tigers' chances to not only win, but win big. I mean, if you can make Arkansas one-dimensional early, I think it's over.
I agree. Completely agree. So far, Petrino's offense has been 51% pass, 49% run. He's been very, very bad. And they've been ahead in a lot of their game, like most of the season time so far. So he's very good at that. Jackson's a very good running back. Yeah, you gotta try to clamp down on him early. Make a statement against the running game early. And look, I think Green can beat you with his arm on play action if the run game is there.
Sure.
But otherwise, that's got to be your strategy.
I'll give you that 100%. 100%. All right, Brad, I think that about does it for today's show.
It does. Thanks everybody for watching and subscribing and liking the video. We appreciate it. We'll be back a little later in the week. Until next time, remember, everyone has vices. Everyone has vices. Make sure Village Vice is one of yours.